I have the original fidget. It's not really. This is the toy that I have in my office. It was made, it's homemade. It reminds me of a man that I would have met back in about 1995. His name was Dan. He wore, his actual name was James Daniel, but we all called him Dan. His wife's name was Sally. Dan had rosy cheeks. He was retired. He wore wire rimmed glasses. He was average in height and average in stature. But in the hearts of many of us, Suzanne, when she realized who I was talking about, turned around. In the hearts of many of us, he was a giant. He was a good man. He was a deacon in the church. One of the things that he loved was children. And he loved children so much that he made little toys like this. I think the best I recall, this he called a do nothing. He says, you're actually sitting there and you're doing something, but you're really doing nothing. He made several other toys. He didn't give me any of the rest of them. He showed me through the years that we were there. He showed me some of the toys that he made. He gave them to children. Gave them to children, especially at Christmas time. He lived on Main Street and he watched the kids walk to school and the kids walk from school. He usually had something to say to them and they had something to say to him. Why? Because they knew what kind of heart he had and what kind of man he was. One time though, I recall precisely, Dan got up and led, I don't know, either opening prayer or closing prayer. I don't remember. More than likely, it was opening prayer, and it was very eloquent as it always was. But then he made a statement that has burned within my ears, within my heart for a long time. And it was this simple statement in his prayer: Lord, make us of value to everyone we come in contact with tomorrow. That's a pretty good thought. Make us of value to all those that we come in contact with tomorrow. As we think about that, we think about in many ways that sort of capsulizes what the Bible teaches. It tells us that with regards to our friends, we're to make them be of value to them. You know, Proverbs 27, verse 7 says, iron sharpens iron. And it does. We know that. We understand that. People sharpen people. And to our friends, we're important. And we need to lift them up and to encourage them. And we need to bolster their spirits. I won't tell you who. I won't tell you the circumstances. Other than to say this, we had a sweet lady walk out of here this morning and gave me the reason, but said I had a tough time getting through one of the songs. And said the sister beside me held my hand and got me through it. Make me of value. But not just to our friends, but also, when you think about it, how about our community? It's really easy. It is very easy. And that's one of the things that I've had to fight, and yet it's just kind of reality, that I've always tried to be somewhat involved in some little area in the community. When you get into Nashville, you get into Metro, you just, you're so little and there's so many. And so consequently, you do get lost. But when you think about, Paul would write in Romans chapter 13 that we're to obey them that have the authority over us. And as a good citizen, that's what we do. We follow the laws of the land. And then, same book of Romans chapter 14, he says, live peaceably with all men. That's what good citizens do. They obey the laws of the land and they live peaceably with all people. And if we could learn that as a society, maybe we'd quit opening every night's news with, well, 2 more are shot at the convenience store. Who knows? But then, Lord, make me of value to my congregation that I serve. It's a good thought. We're all part of this family. As the old song goes, that's been born again. Part of the family. No love, no snowy. Part of the family. And as part of a family, Paul would say in Ephesians chapter 4, he would talk about for whom the whole body is joined together and compacted, which every joint supplies. And we know that's true. We know how important the foot is in order to stand. But not only just the foot, but we also know the knees are important to stand. We know the hips are important to stand. And to be honest, if we're going to use all those appendages to walk, how important even our arms and our hands are to have and to keep our balance. Paul said in 1 Corinthians 12, in talking about the body, he says, we're all important. No one part of the body is more important than the other part. But what we learned then is to ask and to say the simple prayer that Dan led so many years ago. Lord, make me of value, even in the congregation which I serve. And so it's a good prayer. Dan has long since passed from this life. He and Sal both. And when I go back next week, it's going to be interesting to see. Church is so changed. The ones that I knew, they have gone on, or they are in nursing homes or shut-ins. So many of them. Yet it's important to remember, Lord, make us of value. This evening, if you need to respond to the Lord's invitation, would you come? While together we stand and sing.